and welcome to the news update on AFRICUNIA television, reaching you from our studio in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. I am Deborah Ezeh. Many thanks for joining me. We begin from Nigeria. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Obi, has reiterated his commitment to building a productive nation anchored on youth development, saying that their youthful energy, skills and potentials were critical ingredients needed to move the nation from consumption to production. Obi revealed this steadfast commitment in his International Youth Day message. He stated that the dream of rescuing the country from leadership failure will not come to fruition without the help of the youth, whose future, he said, was being damaged by bad governance in the country. He lamented the myriad challenges facing Nigerian youth, as exemplified by a high rate of youth unemployment, little or no access to funding for small businesses, lack of education, as intensified or testified to by the incessant action that has evolved Nigeria's public universities, among others, as factors militating against the success of the youth. Now, Obi expressed hope in the new Nigeria where people, talent and skill will match their opportunities in life, while wishing Nigerians youth well on the occasion of the International Youth Day celebration. Obi encouraged them to remain of good character and conduct while contributing their quota to the growth of the country. And now moving on, the Academic Staff Union of Universities yesterday asked Nigerians to ensure that all political office holders having hand in the prolonged and ongoing strike embarked upon by the union are voted out in the 2023 general election. It urged undergraduates who were affected by the lingering industrial action to see their predicament as a sacrifice for their children and grandchildren. President of ASUU, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, stated this after attending a special congress of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Oshodeke said the federal government was yet to respond to all the issues the union tabled before it, adding that the nation's university education was fastly collapsing. And now away from Nigeria, European Union election observers say that elections in Kenya were marked by less tension compared to previous occasions. The observers, however, raised concerns about the counting process as they had been kept away from it. Kenya's complex process of verifying and tallying votes is expected to take days, raising the prospect of unrest. According to the EU delegation, another aspect that had not been properly addressed was the lack of a campaign finance framework. International observers also point to the rapid spread of disinformation through social media following the scrutiny. Rights campaigners and civil society groups have already accused both candidate camps of sharing misleading posts on social media. Still on the African scene, our historic drought in Somalia has now displaced 1 million people and left the country in the shadow of famine, the United Nations stated yesterday. Now, more than 755,000 people have fled their homes but remain within the country's border, which, when added to those who have fled abroad, brings the total to 1 million. The UN Refugee Agency UNHCR and the Wengan Refugee Co UNCRL said Somalia and its neighbors in the Horn of Africa, including Ethiopia and Kenya, are gripped by the worst drought in more than 40 years after 4 failed rainy seasons that have decimated crops and livestock. An expected 5th failed rainy season is set to displace many more families. We now go on a short break, and when we come back, it's updates making the rounds on the foreign scene. Stay with me. And I welcome back onto the foreign scene. 2 more ships left Ukraine's Black Sea port on Friday, including one laden with the first Ukrainian wheat to be exported under the UN brokered deal, Turkey's defense ministry said. A total 14 ships have now departed from Ukraine during the past 2 weeks, following the deal with Russia to allow a resumption of grain exports from Ukraine's Black Sea ports after they were stalled for 5 months due to the war. The agreements brokered by the United Nations along with Turkey was reached last month amid fears that the loss of recurring grain supplies will lead to severe food shortages and even outbreaks of famine in parts of the world. The Belize flag left Ukraine's Chernomorsk port on Friday, Turkey's defense ministry said, carrying 3,050 tons of wheat to Turkey's northwest province. Ukraine has some 20 million tons of grain left over from last year's crop, while this year's wheat harvest is also or almost estimated at 20 million tons. Meanwhile, Russia and Ukraine accuse each other of shelling Europe's biggest nuclear power plant, compounding fears of a disaster as the UN chief said it should be made a demilitarized zone, and Ukraine demanded that Russian forces withdraw from it. Ukraine's Energy-Atom Agency said the Zaporizhzhia complex in south-central Ukraine was struck 5 times on Thursday, including near the radioactive materials are stored. Russian appointed officials said Ukraine shelled the plant twice, disrupting a shift changeover. The UN Security Council met on Thursday to discuss the situation, and Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on both sides to stop all fighting near the plant. Now, still on the foreign scene, Latvia and Estonia withdrew from a cooperation group between China and over a dozen Central and Eastern European countries on Thursday, following in the footsteps of Baltic neighbor Lithuania, which withdrew last year. The move comes amid Western criticism towards China over escalating military pressure on democratically ruled Taiwan, which China claims as its territory, and Beijing strengthening of ties with Russia during the invasion of Ukraine. Relations between Lithuania and China worsened after the former allowed Taiwan to open a de facto embassy late last year. The Latvia Foreign Ministry said the country's participation in China group was no longer in line with strategic objectives in the current international environment. A statement published Thursday, both Latvia and Estonia said they will continue to work towards constructive and pragmatic relationship with China while respecting the rules-based international order and human rights. And now updates from the sports scene. FIFA on Thursday officially brought forward the opening match of this year's World Cup by 1 day to November 20th in a rare change so that host Qatar feature in the gala game. Football's top officials universally approved the decision, FIFA said in a statement, while Qatar said it would give unspecified help to fans affected by the change. On the old schedule, Qatar against Ecuador was to be the official inauguration match on November 21st, but Senegal against Netherlands would be the first match of the day. England against Iran would have been second. Host country Qatar will now play Ecuador on Sunday, 20th November as part of a standalone event. The change ensures the continuity of a long-standing tradition of marking the start of the World Cup with an opening ceremony on the occasion of the first match featuring either the host or the defending champions. And finally, Paris Saint-Germain are looking to sign a forward this month, but at this stage they're likely to follow up their initial interest in Marcus Rashford. Manchester United are relaxed about the situation because Rashford is committed to the club and he effectively has 2 years left on his contract, 1 year plus an option for another year. However, Rashford representatives are believed to have held talks with PSG last week. PSG has declined or have declined to comment on the reports in France linking them with a move for Rashford. And that concludes the news updates on AFRICUNIA television. Do follow all our social media platforms on Join to Pangram the City, Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter in that respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and also link us up on www.africunia.tv to stay connected and updated to our news and other programs. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Have a beautiful weekend.